Hi, welcome to my video on solve rational equations or square root equations part 2. 2 squared is 4, 2 times 2. Negative 2 squared, all squared, is negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4. Negative 5 squared, negative 5 all squared, is negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which is 25. And notice now we have x squared equals 9, so the square root of x squared is plus or minus the square root of 9. So x equals plus or minus 3. X squared is 16, so the square root of x squared equals plus or minus root of 16. The root of x squared is x, and it's plus or minus 4. So notice if you square, there's two numbers that can be squared to give you 4, is 2 or negative 2. Two numbers you can square to get 25 is 5 or negative 5. So if you give an equation, x squared equals 9, so there's two values. If x squared is 16, you get two values, plus minus 4. What number squared results in 36? Well, if x squared equals 36, the square root of x squared equals plus or minus the root of 36. So x equals plus or minus 6. So if you take 6 and squared, you get 36. If you take negative 6 and squared, you get 36. So there's two numbers. When a number is squared, the result is one number. But the number squared can be one of two numbers. That means one can be a positive number or a negative number. Squaring the root in an equation is gaining a root, which is not true when the solutions are checked. In other words, when you square, you have a root and you square both sides, you're going to gain a root. So you have to check to make sure both of them are okay. Such roots are called extraneous. So if you get two roots, you check them. If you check them and one of them doesn't fit, then we say we're checking for the extraneous roots. Even though we have the solutions, we have to check them to make sure they're true. An example of that, the square root of 2x plus 1 equals x minus 1 has 4 as a root. So 4 is a root. Watch. So if I put 4 back in, 4 is a root. Let's check. So that's 8 plus 1 equals 3. Root 9 equals 3. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 equals 3. So 4 is the root. But there could be another one. We got to check. So let's solve this equation algebraically. So the root is already isolated. So I'm going to square both sides. So the square root of 2x plus 1 all squared is 2x plus 1. And this x minus 1 times x minus 1 by FOIL is x squared minus x plus 1. And that's x squared minus 2x plus 1. So notice now I worked this out here, and I put the final simplification here. It just saves me space in working it out. Now, I have a negative x squared, and I have a plus 2x. This moves over to become a plus 2x, and the plus 1's cancel, equals 0. So I have a negative x squared plus 4x equals 0. I can take the negative x out by factoring. It gives me x minus 4. And negative x equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0. And divide by negative 1, x is equal to 0. And here x is equal to 4. So I have two solutions. Let's check them. Let's check x equals 0 in the equation. So 2, x is 0, plus 1 equals 0 minus 1. So that's 0 plus 1 is 1 equals negative 1, 1 equals negative 1, no. So that means 0 is not a solution. So let's check x equals 4. And we check 4. And we know 4 works, it's worked up there. But we just checked it here. So if I check 4, I will do exactly what I did right here. So just look at this and you'll see what I should do here. Notice when you square the root, you gain 0. You have two solutions, but the 0 doesn't fit. 4 is okay, but you have an extra solution. You got two solutions, but one of them don't work. So 0 is an extraneous root for this equation. We should always check when you're squaring with the square root or a radical equation which has a square root, you have to square both sides. That means you could be gaining a root. And that root that you're gaining, you got to be careful to check it to make sure it fits. Solve for x and check for extraneous roots. Here we go. Root x equals x. So the root is isolated, so we'll square both sides. Root x squared is x. X squared is x squared. So negative x squared plus x equals 0. We take the negative x out, and we get an x minus 1. That means negative x equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. Negative x is 0, so x is still 0, and x is 1. So we have to check the equation when x equals 0. So x equals 0. Put a 0 in, I get the root of 0 equals 0. 0 equals 0, okay. And equation is root x equals x again, and I'm going to check for x equals 1 now. So the root of 1 equals 1. 1 equals 1. So I'm putting a 1 in. I get the root of 1. I put a 1 in. The root of 1 is 1. And that's true. So there's two solutions for this equation. So there's x is 0 or 1. Two solutions. That makes this equation true. And now we have the root of 4x equals x minus 3. So the root is isolated, so we'll square both sides. So the square root of 4x all squared is 4x. And now we have x minus 3 times x minus 3. So that gives me, and we can simplify that up here, or I can write it all out. X times x squared, negative 3x plus 9. X squared minus 6x plus 9. And I'm moving the x to the left side, but I can leave it there if I want. Let's just leave it there. X squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 9. So now I got the 0 on the left side. You could also have it on the right side, either or. So negative 6, negative 4 is negative 10. So that equation, 0 equals, and again, let's see if it's factorable, x and x. Factors of 9 to give me a 10 must be 9 and 1. Product is plus 9, sum is negative, so it's got to be negative 9, negative 1. And multiply. Negative 9, negative 1 is 9, add negative 10. So x minus 9 equals 0. X minus 1 equals 0. X is 9 or x is 1. Now we have to check to see if both of them or just one of them fit. Okay, here we go. So let's check with, let's see, put it right, don't want to crowd it up too much. Square root. So I'm going to put a 9 in. So it's a 4 bracket 9, and it's a 9 minus 3. Square root of 36, 6 equals 6. Okay, so 9 x equals 9 is okay. Now I'm going to try x equals 1. So 4x, so it's 4 times 1 equals x is 1 minus 3. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. 2 equals negative 2. Nope. So the solution here is x equals 9. Make it a 9. So, and net 1 didn't work. 1 will not work here. You can see 1 will not work because when you put a 1 here, you get what? You get a negative 2. The square root of this number should be positive. So 1 doesn't work, so the only solution is 9. 1 is an extraneous root, the root that we gained. C, we have to isolate the root. So the root of x plus 11 equals x minus 1. Move the plus 1 to the right and make it negative. Now we're going to square both sides. So the square root of x plus 11 all squared is x plus 11. And we have x minus 1 times x minus 1. And we have x minus x squared minus x plus 1. So x plus 1 equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. Notice the 1's cancel. And again, rather than move the x squared to the left, since we're well up in our math, let's move the x to the right side and make it a minus. So x squared minus 3x, and 0 equals, take the x out because it's factorable, x minus 3. So that gives me x equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0, x equals 3. Again, we have two roots. Do they work? Okay. I just noticed that's 11 there. That's 11, and that's 11, and they didn't cancel out. Wow. So that's a plus 1 minus 11. So that's 3x minus 10. And so that's factorable now. I wasn't careful enough there. X, product is 10. Sum is negative. Product is negative and sum is 3. So it's a negative 5x plus 2. Okay. X minus 5 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. X is 5, or x is negative 2. Sorry about that. See how easy it is to make a mistake? And I normally make them. I got to be very careful. That's why, as I say, I never got too many hundreds because I always make those odd mistakes. And so I got a 5 that I got to check. And I have a negative 2 that I got to check. So let's check with 5. So the square root of 5 plus 11 plus 1 equals 5. Root 16 plus 1 equals 5. The root of 16 is 4 plus 1 equals 5. 5 equals 5, true. So 5 is a root. Let's check with negative 2. So it's the root of negative 2 plus 11 plus 1 equals negative 2. That's the root of 9 plus 1 equals negative 2. 3 plus 1 equals negative 2. 4 equals negative 2. No. So x equals negative 2 is an extraneous root. So the solution is x equals 5 for this equation. And sorry about that, I missed the 11 there. But again, we got to isolate the root and square both sides. And here we go again. We're going to isolate the root. Always isolate the root. Negative x becomes positive x. Negative 2 becomes positive 2. We move it to the right. And then we square both sides. 2x plus 12. The root of 2x plus 12 all squared is 2x plus 12. When you square a root, you get what's underneath the root. And we got an x plus 2 times x plus 2, 2x plus 12, and FOIL. And now, there's also a shortcut to this. When you square this, if you want, you can go, when you square this, you can square the x to get x squared. You can square the 2 to get a 4. And you can multiply these two and double it. So the product of those two is 2x doubled is a plus 4x. Or you can do the FOIL on that and come up with that, your choice. And since this, I'm going to put 0 on this side, so I'm going to go x squared plus 4x minus 2x plus 4 minus 12. So 0 equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. And that's factorable. X squared is x and x. Product is negative 8. Sum is 2. So the power factors of 8 to give me a 2 must be 4. The factors of 8 to give me a 2 must be 4 and 2. And the product is negative, so one of these is positive and one is negative. So the larger one is positive. So positive 4 minus 2. Multiply. Positive 4, negative 2, negative 8. Add 2. Perfect. X plus 4 equals 0. Or x minus 2 equals 0. X is negative 4. X is 2. And again, we have to check x equals negative 4. And we check x equals 2. Here's the equation. So we got x is negative 4. Sub it in. And we get negative 4. And work out the inside. That's a negative 8 plus 12 is 4. Double negative is a positive. 2 plus 4 minus 2 equals 0. They cancel. 4 equals 0. No. So, negative 4 doesn't work. 2. Let's try 2. And we'll do 2 down here so we won't cram it up. So x is 2. Put the 2 right here. I'm putting the 2 in here. And that gives me 4 plus 12 is 16. Minus 2 minus 2. 4 minus 2 minus 2 equals 0. 4 minus 4 is 0 equals 0. Yes, so the solution is 2. X equals 2 is the solution to this equation. And that means x equals negative 4 is the extraneous root. Because we squared, we gained the root. Okay, and if that makes sense, then you can work these out by pausing each one. Pause the video and work them out one at a time. Here we go. We got the root is isolated, so we'll square each side. So 3x minus 2. Square root of 3x minus 2 squared is what's underneath the root. X squared is x, being squared is x times x is x squared. And we get 0 equals x squared minus 3x plus 2. That's the quadratics. X squared is x and x. Factors of 2 are 2 and 1. This product is positive. The sum is negative, so it has to be negative 2, negative 1. X minus 2 equals 0. X minus 1 is equal to 0. X is 2 or x is 1. So let's check when x is 2. So 3, x is 2, x is 2. So we get 6 minus 2 is 4 equals 2, 2 equals 2, true. 2 is the root. And what about x equals 1? And we put 1 in the place of x. And we get 3 minus 2 is 1. The root of 1 is 1. 1 equals 1. So x equals 2 or 1. There's two solutions. Two of them work. And we have to isolate the roots. So it's the root of x plus 1 equals x plus 1. The negative x moves over to become an x. Now we got the root isolated, so we'll now square both sides. So the root of x plus 1 all squared is x plus 1. And again, we have a binomial squared, so let's square it fast. X times x, x squared. 1 times 1, plus 1. Product, 1 times x is 1x, doubled is 2x. And that's the fast way to do it, or you can do FOIL. And equal to 0, so x squared plus 2x minus x. Notice the 1's cancel, because they're on each side. I don't have I could bring the 1 over here and make it a minus and then give it a 0. So that adds up. 2x minus x is x. X is the GCF. X squared divided by x is x, and x divided by x is 1. So x equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. X equals negative 1. So I have a 0, and I have x equals negative 1 to check. So let's put a 0 in the equation. Done. The negative of 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 1, square root of 1 is 1. 1 equals 1. So 0 is the root. And what about negative 1? So x is negative 1. Put negative 1 here. Put a negative 1 here. So the negative of a negative is a positive. And negative 1 plus 1 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. 1 equals 1. So that one fits. So x equals 0 or negative 1. Okay. Let's continue. We've got to isolate this root now. So negative 2 root of x plus 16 equals negative 2x minus 8. The root is isolated, and I can divide by 2, or I could square right now. If you divide by 2, I notice that 2 is a factor of all these, so they cancel. I get negative, it's an x, and that's a plus 4. So I divided everything by negative 2, so negative 2 is gone. Now I can square both sides. So the square root of x plus 16 all squared is x plus 16. And again, we're going to square this the fast way. X times x is x squared. 4 times 4 is 16. Product is a positive 4x, and you double it. Plus 8x, that's the fast way. And we make it equal to 0, so we'll 0 here. I can move the x squared over here and make it minus, but then I got to get rid of the minus. So let's move everything to this side. And the 16's canceled out. And x is the GCF. X squared divided by x is x. 7x divided by x is plus 7. X equals 0. Or x plus 7 equals 0. Again, I have two answers. Let's try x is 0. And there's a long equation. I'm going to write it right across. Let's put it, okay, there we go. Putting the 0 in this equation. So I put 0 right here, and I put 0 here, put brackets around it. Square root of 4 is 2. It's equal sign there. Oh, notice I left off the negative 2 there. I wasn't careful. That gives me negative 2. And let's put the negative 2 there. And put a bracket on that. And that gives me negative 4. And let's see, did I work it out right? Put a 0 in. 0 in. Let's see. Wasn't careful. That's a negative 2. And that's the square root of 16. 0 but a minus 8. Square root of 16 is a 4 plus a 0, negative 8. Negative 8 plus 0 equals negative 8. Negative 8 equals negative 8. Okay. Again, got careless there. So that's why I had to do it all over. So that's okay. And what about, we got to check x equals, check with the, let's see, where will I do it? Right here. Check x equals negative 7. So I'm putting negative 7 in place of x here, negative 7 in place of x here, and take my time. And that's 16 minus 7 is 9. And that gives me negative 14. That gives me 3. Square root of 9 is 3. That gives me negative 6. Negative 20. I was going to say 22 then. Negative 6, negative 14, negative 20 equals negative 8. Nope. So that means x equals negative 7 is extraneous. So the solution is x equals 0. Again, just be careful. Don't be like me. I know what to do, but I have a tendency to make a few little errors. So be careful, be careful, be careful. And we got one more page. We got another one to work out. And the roots is isolated, so we'll square both sides. So we have an x squared minus x plus 7. When you square a root, what's underneath the root stays. Now I'm going to do this fast. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a plus 1. The product, negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x doubled, negative 4x. Or you could work out the FOIL and you still get the same. Now we got x's squared, so we'll put the 0 there. And we got 4x squared minus x squared minus 4x plus x plus 1 minus 7. So this becomes a minus, this becomes a plus, this becomes a minus because I'm moving it this way. I could move everything to the left and I get a negative, but four minus 1 is 3, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3, 1 minus 7 is negative 6. Now I can factor out the 3 because 3 is common, GCF. 3x squared divided by 3 is x squared, negative 3x divided by 3 is negative x, negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. And we have a quadratic. X squared is x and x. Product is negative 2, so it's got to be 2 and 1 are the only factors. Product is negative and sum is negative, has to be the larger number, got to be negative. Negative 2 plus 1, check. Multiply negative 2 times 1, negative 2, add, minus 1. 3 is not, there's only 2 solutions, they got to be here, so you ignore the 3. So x minus 2 equals 0. x plus 1 equals 0, x equals 2, or x equals negative 1. So let's check x is 2. Then we'll check x is negative 1. So here's the equation. Take your time. We got x is 2. So we sub 2 in the place of x here and here. And when I subbed it in, I put brackets. So let's work out the root. That's a 4 minus 2 plus 7. And here I can go 4 minus 1. And the root is a 9. 2 plus 7 is 9 equals 3. Square root of 9 is 3 equals 3. So 2 is the root. Let's check negative 1. Let's put negative 1 in here now. Negative 1 squared. Negative 1. So I put a negative 1 here and squared it. Put a negative of a negative 1. And 2 times negative 1. Done. Take my time and simplify now. So I have to do the power inside the root. So that's, I have to square first. So that's negative 1 squared is 1. I got a double negative as a positive. I got to multiply first. So I got a negative 2 minus 1. And that gives me a 9. That gives me negative 3. 3. Negative 3. Nope. So negative 1 is not a root. So this x equals 2 is the only solution. Negative 1 is extraneous. Again, this is the one you gain because of the squaring. And solving square root equations. Again, isolate the root. And check, when you get the solution, check that they're both, or which ones are okay. Because remember, you square it, you might get an extraneous root. Not all the time, but most times you got to be careful. If you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.